We all love a good scary story, right? Especially one that sticks with you long after it's over. Well, today we're diving into a story called The Dead End. It's a seriously spooky tale, but it does a lot more than just give you the chills. We're going to break it down and figure out what kind of lesson is hiding in all those shadows.
So, our story kicks off like a lot of great adventures do, with a ton of excitement. We've got a group of friends, it's Halloween, and they're hitting the road to find a spooky farmhouse. They're pumped, they're ready for some fun, and they're totally convinced this is going to be the best trip ever. And, in any scary story, when things start out that perfect, it's a pretty good sign things are about to go very, very wrong.
And there it is. That's the question that hangs in the air. Because in a story like this, that early excitement is the perfect setup for planting that first little seed of doubt. The sun's going down, the road's getting darker, and the whole mood is about to take a hard left turn.
Okay, so let's look at the first part of the story, the setup. This is where we get to know our characters, what they're trying to do, and the whole spooky Halloween vibe that's about to put them to the test.
The plan itself is pretty simple. A road trip out to some remote farmhouse that's supposed to be super spooky. I mean, it sounds perfect for Halloween, doesn't it? They're all in it for the adventure. But you see that last point? There's this tiny little worry in the back of their minds. They don't want to get lost in the dark. That little hint of concern? That's our first clue that things might not go according to plan.
And here's where the journey really starts to get interesting, but not in a good way. The whole tone begins to change. The fun adventure is starting to feel a little off. This is where our friends face their first real test.
Okay, this slide is so important because it's basically a classic horror movie trope in action, ignoring all the warnings. They see a literal sign that says danger ahead, and what do they say? Sounds like an adventure. One friend starts to get a bad feeling and they just brush it off. It's probably just an old sign. Then the car's lights start flickering. Oh, it's just the car acting up. Every single one of these choices is just pushing them deeper and deeper into trouble.
And yup, here come the consequences. That initial excitement, it's completely gone. Now it's just been replaced by this heavy feeling of dread. The road, the trees, everything just feels wrong. They're not looking for an adventure anymore. They're just hoping to get through this.
All right, buckle up because this is it. This is the climax of the story. All that tension that's been building and building, it's about to just explode into pure terror. Our friends are totally isolated, their car is on the fritz, and they're about to find out they are definitely not alone out there.
It's the moment every single person driving on a dark, lonely road is terrified of. The engine just guts out. Dead silence. They are completely stranded, totally vulnerable, and who knows how far from where they're going. Any sense of control they had is just gone.
And then they hear it, a sound from above. Right then, they realize the real threat isn't the dark. It's not the broken down car. It's something else, something real. And it is literally right on top of them.
Pure panic mode. They somehow, miraculously, get the car started again. But as they peel out, they see it. This huge shape that is clearly not human. Now the fear of the unknown has a face, and it's chasing them down the road. The escape is on.
The climax hits its absolute peak with this scream. It's a desperate, full-on sprint for their lives, trying to outrun this creature they can't even begin to understand.
But they do get away. They make it to the farmhouse, completely terrified, but they're safe. And this is where the story does a complete 180. The heart-pounding horror is over, and now it's time to find out what in the world just happened.
And here is the story's big, incredible twist. That huge, scary thing that was chasing their car, it was the spirit of a father who lost his own child in a horrible accident on that very same road. He wasn't trying to hurt them at all. He was desperately trying to scare them away to protect them.
And the other figure they saw, that little shadow that darted across the road, that was the spirit of his child, lost and reliving that tragic night over and over again. This just adds this whole layer of tragedy to the story, turning these monsters into something so much sadder.
So this is the main point right here. Their entire perception was just wrong. What felt like a terrifying monster attack was actually a desperate act of protection. The thing they were most afraid of was really their guardian.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of all this, the moral of the story. What is this spooky tale actually trying to teach us? Let's unpack the lessons here.
The story lays it out for us pretty clearly. First off, respect the warnings. That danger ahead sign wasn't a dare. Second, you gotta find a balance between being brave and being careful. Courage is great, but being reckless is not. And finally, and this is the big one, try to understand things before you jump to being afraid. Their terror was all based on a massive misunderstanding.
And really, the characters say it best themselves right here. The unknown can be absolutely terrifying, for sure. But by paying attention to the signs, being cautious, and most importantly, sticking together, they got through something truly awful. And they came out the other side not just safe, but with a whole new way of seeing things.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Can you think of a time in your own life when something seemed really scary at first, but it actually turned out to be helpful? Or maybe not what you thought at all? This story is a great reminder that sometimes the monster in the dark might just be trying to help you find the light. It's a pretty cool idea to keep in your back pocket.